Ladies and gentlemen, today we are honored to host an exceptional individual who exemplify the fusion of innovation, leadership, and social impact. Recently, on the Far Tech Venture podcast, joining with us is Mr. Jeff Bogensberger, the visionary CEO and founder of the Laughing Otter. So, as a thought leader, public speaker, social entrepreneur, Jeff has a spearheaded initiative at the forefront of exploring the potential of Web3 and gaming to make a mighty difference in the world. So, Jeff's illustrious career span across various leadership roles from CEO to sales director, where he is distinguishing himself through his expertise in driving growth and transforming business on both domestic and international scales. So, today, join Jeff us to share his insights on the intersections of technology, multimedia, and social impact, and offering invaluable wisdoms and inspirations to all who seek to harness the power of innovations of God. Good. So, without further ado, let's dive into the enriching conversations with the remarkable Jeff Bogensberger on the At Far Tech Venture podcast. And I'm the host of this show, Sonal Shah, welcoming you all for today's wonderful discussions with our special guest, Mr. Jeff Bogensberger. So, Jeff, welcome to the podcast, and we are really grateful to have you today on this show. And I think this introduction is very small for you. So, can you just brief about what are you doing and how you are doing in your words in your journey, please?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on your show. I look forward to an interesting chat with. So where I'm at right now after 30 some years of being in the IT world. I've now landed where I decided to start the Laughing Otter about 3.5 years ago with the idea of using technology and multimedia tools to create positive content and make a positive change in the world, primarily around just improving mental health through making people happy and improving the lives of children. So that's where the Laughing Otter started, and we're 2024 is a super exciting year. We got a lot of really cool stuff happening and on their way. So yeah, that's where we are right now.
That's a wonderful. That's a very wonderful. And, you are making this area not just only making a business, but also, helping the people in the mental health also. That is also nowadays a very much required content from the people like you. So thank you so much for this wonderful introductions. And uh, before we go ahead, I would also like to thanks to the audience because of their curiosity and their eagerness to know something more about in details about tech. We are running this podcast ahead and ahead. So thank you so much for the guest. And Jeff, if you permit me, I would also like to give introductions about my organization.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, Jeff, as I said you that I myself is a Sonal Shah, and as we are running the podcast with Edfar Tech Venture, as Edfar Tech Venture, we are IT and tech solutions provider, and we focus on all the types of IT solutions, IT resources, recruitments, and these kinds of tech audio podcasts also. And we have a vendor alliances with the 50 plus tech partners, including SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, Pega, OutSystem, APN, Salesforce, Cloudera, Informatica, and others too. And we have key solutions providers like ERP, application development, data, and AI/ML, then cybersecurity, blockchain, cloud management, UX UI, testing, and the cybersecurity. And if I say about the major skills which we have is, we have resources basis of 20,000 plus all across the skills. So we can deliver both on-site as well as offshore within the 24 hours. So this is all about me and at Far Tech Venture. And I hope you will also like the conversation as and when we move ahead with each and every questions. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to have an interaction with you in terms of the specifically the AI as well as the technology. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to answer your questions.
So as we are going ahead with our first questions, can you elaborate on the what are the current technologies your team utilizing at the Laughing Otter to drive positive entertainment as the social impact initiative and totally as in within the multimedia space?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we because of all the different things that we touch, we're using a lot of different technologies, especially considering the size of the company. But primarily, from a day-to-day standpoint, we use the suite, Office 365 suite, uh, that manages all of the day-to-day communications. Plus, everybody's familiar with Excel, Word, PowerPoint, all that sort of thing. We then use a number of technologies in the graphic design space. Some of the, like, of course, the Adobe suite of products. Then also some animation tools, graphic design tools. We are utilizing on occasion different AI tools to quickly create content. What else are we using? We're also a big fan of plugins, so we manage WordPress is our base for our website and a lot that we do, but there are probably 10, 15 different plugins that we use to improve the website. We use Google Analytics for all of our data collection. What else do we use? We use we're quite active on Discord, so a number of different plugins on there. So really, we're across the board. We for anybody who's starting a company or startups, and if you don't have a lot of resources, there are so many tools available these days to make your life easier and faster that are relatively inexpensive. So we take advantage of as many as we can.
Right. And that's actually the very right use of technology. So it's incredible to hear how you are leveraging this technology to make a difference. And thank you so much for sharing these insights about what are the current practices and technologies you are using. So Jeff, may I know how many team members are there in your organizations or the tech profile you are working with?
It fluctuates between about 15 and 25, depending on what projects we have. Most are in-house, but we also use some contractors on occasion as well. That's why it fluctuates.
Okay, that's a good. So, within the team, and if you would like to, expand your team in the future, what are the specific tech skills or the expertise that you are looking for in potential recruits?
Okay, so for our world, it's always going to be around graphic design, game design, and web design. Those would be the main tech areas. We are active in Web3 and blockchain, but we typically will outsource that because what we are doing in the Web3 space isn't that revolutionary. We're going to launch in the next couple of weeks, for example, an NFT for good marketplace, and but that we're just using an off the shelf plugin around that. So part of the business strategy of the Laughing Otter is if somebody else has already built something and they're doing it really well, we can purchase it as a SaaS product, or then why would we build it in house when somebody's already invested tens of millions of dollars in building an infrastructure? Why would we try to recreate that? So we tend to outsource a lot of our requirements to people who have already done it.
That's a great. That's a great. So, thank you for sharing your requirements in terms of the people as well as the skills in the future. So it sounds like you are building a truly talented team to drive your vision forward and focus on specific, team management that outline those skills too. So that's wonderful to know. So could you provide some insights on into what technology your team is considering as a, next big project within this multimedia realm, or how do you envision this technology is contributing to your goal of social impact as well as community building?
That's a tough question. Right now, we've got a pretty good infrastructure that I'm trying to think what the next technology really for us, our next wave of growth is going to come from um, leveraging the infrastructure we've now built. So we'll be spending a lot of right now. The focus is on marketing, sales, and marketing, and just and delivering the message of what we currently have in place. It's in this day and age, you don't really need that big of a team to scale quite large. It's not hard to if you know what you're doing and you have the right people in place and the right the technology stack in place, you can grow to a multi-million-dollar company with a relatively small team. And so, yeah, so the last 3 years have been really around getting us to this stage that we now have a secure infrastructure in place that will allow us to capitalize on the growth that we're now experiencing. So it's we're not looking at new technology because we've spent the last 3 years figuring out what the right technology has been, if that makes sense, or it should be.
Right, right, right. Very exact and particularly, the most futuristic answer you have given. So, your commitment to leverage technology is obviously good, and that we had heard from the first question itself. But, predicting about the technology and what will be the future to, fascinate the industry like you is definitely very much expanding and very much. Expanding its origin from all over the way. So thank you so much for sharing your, vision in line with the technology. So when it comes to allocating resources, now we know that, the way you are managing the team, the way you are, futuristic for the technology upgradations as well as management within the company. So when it comes to allocating resources, what technology initiative within multimedia endeavors you are, operating, as well as how do you prioritize investment to maximize impact?
Right. As far as technology goes, we're rather a nimble company, so we make those decisions on a regular basis based on the opportunities that present themselves. So, and where the gaps are, what we already have, and what needs to be filled. If so, I guess we're not a Fortune 500 company yet, where they would have a 5-year plan. Any SMB business owner would attest to the fact that whatever if I made a tech plan today for the next 12 months, I think in about a month's time I'd have to throw that out because something will emerge that would require the priority resources to be allocated elsewhere. So we tend to believe in the strategy that you make this. There's a not that we're completely flying without a rudder or sailing without a rudder. We have a plan, but within that plan, we make decisions on a fairly frequent basis of what's the next thing that needs to be done, and then look at outcomes and then adjust accordingly. And that applies to technology as well. But and that's how we got to this position we are now. Like now, we have a fairly strong infrastructure that will allow us to do now. Like maybe I should phrase it this way: technology should always just be the tool by which you play the game. And if you have the technology in place and it's all working nicely and it's all been implemented correctly, then you should never really have to think about it. Now it's time to think about, how do we acquire more customers? How do we increase revenue? How do we increase efficiency? How do we, and so that's where the stage we are now is that, okay, technology is in place. Now let's focus on growing the business.
That's the best way. So thank you for sharing your approach to budget allocations as well as, from your focus, I can see that investment aligned with your mission of making the positive difference. That is the final aim to, incorporate budget as well as regularity in each and every words you that speaks. So that's a great impact. You are speaking it from the volume about your dedications. So in what way do you see emerging technology such as this VR, AR, or interactive storytelling? Because you also in the introductions that you loves the content and, playing a role in the future of multimedia and the social impact endeavors. So what is, as per your views, what will be the future emerging technologies that, people are looking for and people are very much interested into, specifically this multimedia?
Yeah, that's the hardest thing to navigate when it comes to technology is separating what's real and from what's not. Separating what is futuristic theory to what can actually be built and has positive outcomes, and that's highlighted very much so with AI. It's so many projects around AI are either doing something that's already been done 100 times before, or are solving problems that really don't need to be solved. But there are a few projects which will use the technology to really advance their industry or and solve a very real problem. The difficulty for companies like myself and everybody else out there is navigating through all of the noise to determine what really should I be focusing on and what is just a distraction. So, but that's technology in general. Like there's always a new shiny new toy out there that people will want to jump on, gravitate to, and as a business, you can get really caught up and spend an awful lot of money on stuff that may seem cool on the surface, but when you really scratch it, it doesn't really solve a problem. Does it make a difference? Does it improve your business? And most importantly, does it increase your profitability? And that's the difficult thing, because as we progress here, and as every year technological advancements just become more and more prevalent, and the more ideas are thrown out there, and so it's becoming an accelerating concept. So to stay on top of it and then make rational business decisions is getting harder and harder.
True, very true. So we cannot say that, what will be the future and according to future, how we should be ready. So just the main, our action should be, we should be ready with whatever the futuristic actions will come, and we should be ready with the our team, so we can leverage the most benefits out of it, right? So
Yeah, and the idea is to be open minded to to new technologies without being blinded by the light. Um, and you know, every time somebody gets in the news and makes some grandiose claim of what AI is going to do or what VR is going to accomplish, well, you know, look at it with rational eyes and decide for yourself that is that possible? Does it pass the logics test? And then make business decisions around that. And even like there's a lot of really cool technology that's coming out, but also just ask yourself, does that actually fit my business? Or am I just implementing something that makes no difference whatsoever and spending a lot of time and money on something that, yeah, it's kind of cool, but does it actually sell more widgets?
exactly. So it's require more over of clarity on the vision and clarity on what are the transformative potentials we require in our business to have innovations as well as leverage the benefits of technology. So your each and every answer is very much um, l- I would like to say in line with the leveraging technology innovations for a positive change, that is for the final aim. And that shows your commitment for technology adaptations as well as going to meet with the requirements of the future. So that's a very commendable job that you are doing. So thank you so much, Jeff, for giving us the highlights of what is futuristic expectations from the society. So can you share any recent examples where technology has been instrumental in driving the positive change and promoting community engagement through multimedia projects? Any of your projects that you would like to discuss?
Well, we got uh, one really exciting. Well, we got two really exciting things happening right now. The one is we're growing what is uh, projected to be one of the biggest gaming communities in the world by this time next year. We and to promote that community and to to really create value for those for the community. We have a number of different technologies and plugins that primarily around marketing and communications, as well as um, we'll be implementing or we'll be launching in a couple months uh, a, a tiered NFT launch where the NFTs will give NFT holders will get different access to the gaming community depending on what NFT they hold, as well as create financial gains for themselves. So we're leveraging blockchain technology in that respect. So yeah, the gaming community is called the Otter Games, and you can find that at thelaughing If you're a gamer, you'll want to be a part of this. Lots of exciting stuff happening there. We'll be holding online tournaments, which obviously will require streaming technologies. Yeah, so technology is intertwined in everything that we do because essentially we're an online business. So to communicate to millions of people, you need tools in place.
Exactly, exactly. So that's wonderful to know about, what is exactly in the staying ahead in the curve with the multimedia stage and front. So, like Jeff, adding on these, as you had shared that, you are using lots of technologies, lots of plugins, and lots of, new requirements into the demands of today's age. So, how do you as a yourself as well as within the team ensures that that learning should pass on to each and every areas of your development team? So, what are the tactics or collaborations you people are running behind the stage to stay updated with the new age technologies as well as new plugins or new kinds of, the requirements which are coming from?
Well, that it's a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy because the team I have are really dedicated and passionate about what they do. So they tend to keep up to date with new technologies on their own for the most part because they just love it. But we're always how it typically happens for us is for new technologies is the requirement comes first, and then we look for the technology. We don't find a technology and then find a use for it. So, like in very simple terms, back when we were building the website, okay, we need to build a website. What's the best platform out there to build a website? We settled on WordPress. Then we looked at, well, what's the best? We need to integrate a market or an e-commerce tool so that we can sell merchandise. Okay, what's the best tool out there that meets our needs? So we chose WooCommerce. So it's really, we find, like, I think that a mistake that a lot of people make is they find a technology and then they try to find a use case for it. We're the opposite. We find a use case and then we find the best technology out there that solves that use case.
That's the best way. That's the best way, So the people are first finding the business and then finding the innovative way to clear that solutions and whatever the technologies that can run that business very well. So that's the best approach that your team is leveraging to, have innovative solutions for each and every customers as a new solutions as well as, solutions which are coming from the exact things you have. So, Jeff, each and every answers that you are giving is, in a way to make this multimedia truly admirable. So, thank you so much for giving all the responses in a very nice manner. And before I go to close my podcast, I would like to know that given your expertise and experience, that one advice would you like to give to aspiring entrepreneurs or as well as the developers who aim to harness the power of technologies for creating the meaningful impact in the multimedia industry? So please give us one suggestions or one advice that you would like to give, to the other fellow listeners.
Okay, I think I've hinted at it a bit, but the idea is, like, and for me, I've always been on the business side of technology. I'm not a coder or a technologist in that way. So I think everybody should approach technology with the idea first of what's the business outcome, what's the desired result, what's the user experience going to be, all of that kind of questions should be asked first before anybody starts implementing anything or any lines of code are written. Is what are we trying to achieve? And then be very, very detailed on what you're trying to achieve. Because that's where development and IT projects come unstuck, is you get halfway through it and you don't realize and something comes up that you hadn't accounted for, which affects everything else. So the more that you can detail the business outcome before you start doing anything else, the better you'll be. When I was an IT integrator, this is just a loose number, but I always figured if you put 80% of your time into upfront planning and 25% of your time in development or the integration of a product, that's about the right ratio. Because if you spend all your time designing, then the implementation is pretty easy and it goes real fast.
Yes. So this is a very invaluable advice, and from your journey, it's totally clear that your passion for creating a meaningful impact through this multimedia and this technology that you are leading is truly inspire aspiring entrepreneurs and the developers to pursue their dreams with the purpose and determinations, and specifically the planning and executions. That is the most valuable advice you have provided. So thank you so much, Jeff. And as we are, closing this episode with the today's this last questions with invaluable advice, we bring these events to close. And I want to take a moment to, my sincerest gratitude to you and for wonderful insights and the dedication that you had shared with us. So, from each and every words throughout our conversations that you have shared as invaluable wisdoms as well as thought-provoking insights into each and every technology that you are also leveraging the benefits as well as imaginations with the visions that you are sharing for the future of technology. So thank you so much, Jeff. And beyond your professional achievements, what I found is very much transparency, humanity, and genuine kindness that, touched my personally hearts as well as reminds us the importance of connections in everything what we do. So thank you so much, Jeff. And on behalf of everyone as well as at Tech Venture, I wanted to express my deepest gratitudes as well as appreciations for your presence. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being an inspiration to us with this podcast at Tech Venture Podcast.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's I appreciate